Hi, I would like to ask, because I come from Iceland, and now I live in Denmark, and when I come to Iceland, I always feel the energy is very different as where it is in Denmark, for example. And I've been wondering, there was this meeting many years ago with Gorbachev and Reagan. Iceland being...
That was the Reykjavik.
Yes, it was in Reykjavik. And I have been thinking, there have never been a war in Iceland. If you have a location that is with more clear crystalline grid, can that affect the way people communicate or negotiate?
Can I tell you something that I always felt when I heard they were going to Reykjavik? I never heard of it. And I wondered where and why. And then I saw it was in Iceland. And I thought, is that just because it's neutral? I mean, so is Switzerland. I mean, we're all polarized in the Cold War, and Iceland was as well.
Yes.
So why in Iceland? Now I'm starting to realize that what you're saying was probably absolutely true.
Yeah, the energy.
Seemingly by accident or synergy or whatever you want to call it, they went to a place where the magnetic grid is very different. Now, I know, take a look at the northern lights that you have and all of the activity that's there. It's different. I think it was more commensurate to their decisions. And when I saw that on television at Christmas time. I watched them shake hands, and I said, this is different. That leader is different. This whole thing is different. And that was really the beginning of then what happened later in Russia. I think you're totally right.
And would I be correct that Iceland is quite close to Greenland? Because there is a knoll, that's one of the 12 major knolls in Greenland. And people ask, where do I go to get in touch with the knoll or the node on the planet? We want to put a pinpoint mark on a map and say this is the point. But Kryon says when it comes to those nodes and knolls, the region is affected and you can't just do a pinpoint. So Iceland is also feeling those energies of the knoll that is in Greenland, which is pure Gaia energy, a Pleiadian home, Pleiadian time capsule. I think that is also linked and related. So,
Thank you. When I lived, this really isn't about me, but when I moved to outside of Philadelphia about 15 years ago, I started doing this thing in my sleep. When I would come back to consciousness, as soon as I closed my eyes, I would see this grid and, electronic. It was just a grid up there, and it would be all these fabulous bright colors. And the whole time I lived outside of Philadelphia, I saw that every time I closed my eyes. And then I traveled around the world a lot. In a few places I would see it, but I think that I was connecting to the crystalline grid there, but it's like, why was it there and I don't connect to that every place else?
In your particular case, I don't give readings, but it had nothing to do with the crystalline grid. It had everything to do with you. You're not the only person in this room who sees that. John sees that. And he sees it just like you do. In fact, we had that conversation, and it sounded like you were talking about the very identical thing. This is about the consciousness at the time for you, when it's right, what you're seeing. It's really almost like spirit signaling things to you. So we all need the validations and the verifications. In that particular case, and in John's case, it doesn't have anything to do with the crystalline grid. These are messages for you in a way that you can understand or at least question and make something out of it. Pay attention to the colors.
Good to see you, Lee. A number of years ago, you were given the option to take your relationship with Kryon up a notch. And I was wondering if you could explain what it might be like on a daily basis, briefly, on how you two are actually merged.
This was a story that I've told before, and it's a funny story to me because it just shouts human nature, which I'm very much a part of, and the increase in the evolution of human nature, which I'm a part of. It was some years ago, and we're doing meetings everywhere, and much the same as we are now. I was pleased with where this was going, and I'd written another book and all of that, and nothing was wrong or whatever. And in the shower, I clearly hear, "Are you ready to go to the next level?" And my reaction was, "Oh, I thought I was at the highest level." And I'll always remember that because that is so human, isn't it? I mean, I'm just admitting to you, it's not as much ego as it is, I thought I was okay. You know? And I asked, the first thing I did was get out of the shower because I didn't like the message. And then I got back in. And I asked, and the intuition came, and Kryon said, I said, "And so what is the next level?" And he says, "You're playing church with me." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he says, "You're sitting down in the chair and you show up, you dress for it." I do. And then when you leave, I'm not there until the next time you sit in the chair, and then you channel, and that's when everybody expects Kryon. And he says, "It really ought to be 24/7. I never considered I was playing church with Kryon. That never occurred to me. And then I said, "Okay, what does it mean?" And he said, "Give intent." Now, I like this because he didn't say, "Well, here are the stairs to climb and here are the courses to take." And I say, "After intent," and he says, "Things will change." And they started to. And the things that changed the most for me, I didn't expect. Going to the next level sounds like you've got to work harder, that there's stuff coming that you've got to then prepare for. I had no idea what he was asking me to do was to step into the love of God in a way I'd never, ever considered. And things got so much better. But it also changed my perspective on everything eventually. It took 2 years. But then I started seeing people differently. Everyone was going through what I was going through when I'd see them on the street. No matter who they were or what, I realized that they were on earth the same as I was, figuring out the puzzle. When I started traveling to foreign countries and all of this, it was so profound because this is the way I felt to everybody. And that's why I treat people the way I treat them. There's a hierarchy that is built in, that your parents give you, your society gives you, or whatever, of who you talk to and who you don't and how you say things. Is that all right to say? I mean, it's there. And you can say, "Well, I'm not aware of it." Yeah, you are. We really, all of us are. And it comes from our parents, and it comes from society, and all of this. And all of that just disappeared. It just went away. And everybody was in the same bag. And that's the first thing. And then I started receiving information out of channel. And that was cool, because it helped me write the more profound things in the books. I also started getting advanced information about what the channels might be like. That helped me because the channels got better, because I was more prepared emotionally if we were going to have a channel that was emotional. So you see what happened there? It changed me. So I'm not sure my work reflected that, because there wasn't any demarcation point where Kryon suddenly got better. But there was a demarcation point where Lee got better with Lee. And that's what I teach. And that's where all of us are going. That's a 24/7 relationship to the Creator. And that's what we strive for. That's the answer to no anger. It really is. You won't go there because it's just not in your program. And you don't have to then decide or have your buttons or where are they or anything else. It's just not there. That's the answer.